Portland Metro Real Estate saw a frenzy of activity with some interesting numbers for the last week before our typical 4th of July real estate lull. Let's take a look at the very latest in stats and trends. I'm RonMilligan, owner and managing broker of RE/MAX Select here in Portland. Thank you so much for joining me on this holiday week. If you are new to the channel, it would make me so happy if you would like this video, maybe share it with a friend, maybe subscribe to the channel so that you see more content like this in your feed. Now on with the show. Last week, we saw a big jump in the average sale price. In fact, it was the highest year-over-year number that we'd seen so far in 2024. I mentioned that we can see some volatility in our week-to-week numbers, so you can see that here. Average sale price moderated back down to about $635,000, which is down about 1.3% compared to last year at this time. Looking at the broader numbers, comparing June of 2023 to June of 2024, the average sale price is only up by about 2.7%. So values look like they're keeping pace with the rate of inflation. Homeowner equity isn't really rising, but it's also not tanking. Buyer demand wasn't too bad this last week. Buyer activity seems to be keeping pace with last year in both the number of purchase contracts written by buyers and signed and accepted by sellers, and in the number of lockbox opens, which is our measure of high intent buyers out looking at homes with their agents. Keep in mind though that interest rates are higher this year than they were last year, just by a smidge, and I'll get into that in just a couple minutes. The supply of homes is still rising, but that is typical for our summer market. We did this last week see a large number of homes hitting the for sale market for the first time, but I suspect that that's a rush to get on the market before the week of the 4th, which, as I said, is a pretty quiet week for real estate. I suspect when we look at these numbers next week, which will be for the week of the 4th, these numbers will plunge. We also saw a big number of price reductions, likely for the same reason. Sellers didn't want to waste a price reduction on a holiday week when folks are busy with the holiday, maybe traveling, and might not even notice a price reduction, so they did it this last week in advance of the holiday, hoping to get some attention. Mortgage rates climbed a bit more this week. The best rate I could find was 6.625% for the 30-year fixed. We are waiting for a series of labor market reports this week, which should have some effect on mortgage rates. One of them did come out on Wednesday morning showing a sluggish job market, which sent the yield on the 10-year Treasury down a fair amount, and mortgage rates may follow. If any other big changes take place before I publish this video on Friday, I will let you know somewhere around here. For a bit of context, I looked at the average mortgage rate for the 30-year fixed mortgage during the last week of June 2023, and it was 6.71%, which is only just a little bit lower than this year's comparison, which is 6.86%. After months of having higher interest rates this year, we've almost pulled even with where we were last year at this time, and I am really curious to see how our year-over-year numbers are going to start looking going forward.